Hey guys, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. This is just a kind of a quick, I had a moment, found something, reminded me of something, and I just wanted to share it with you. So yeah, it's just me and my phone, handheld, all that stuff because I'm so high tech. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do when you got a moment to do it. And that's kind of what's happening here. Because the guys are out of the house splitting wood. So all the noise is out there. Dogs are asleep. And I just found this piece of paper. So I've been doing some cleaning. Yeah. Not my favorite thing, but eventually you got to do it. And I'm trying to clean out old papers and things and get rid of stuff that just keeps collecting dust and simplify my life a little and downsize it a lot. So I found this stack of papers, and it's just stories and things that I wrote down over the years, the things people told me, and and how it would kind of connect with me spiritually. And so I found this one, and it took me a few minutes to remember as I was reading it, and then I remember. So years ago, this family that I knew, they were building a house. They had a large family, and they'd always lived in really tiny little houses. But they saved and saved and saved until they could eventually build a great big house so that all the kids could have their own rooms, or no more than 2 kids to a room, because I think they'd been living like all the girls in one bedroom and all the boys in another. And I guess they, the kids were getting bigger and older, and they wanted to do something more for them. So this was a huge deal for them, building this house. And it took more than a year to get this house built because they were paying cash as they went. Don't think you could do that now. But like I said, this was a long time ago. Well, they finally got to where everything was completed, but the final inspection hadn't been done. When they walk through and go, yep, lights work. Yep, got water, And then they give you the occupancy permit. Well, they were supposed to close on Friday. And so the mortgage company said, well, go ahead and close. You just can't move in until you get the occupancy permit. So they went Friday, and they signed the papers and went back to their little rental house. And we're talking because the appointment for the final inspection, the final walkthrough, was on the coming Wednesday. And so, they got all their stuff together and started, figuring out what they were going to take in their first load. And so, all the kids, everybody grabbed a bag of something that they wanted to take for their first load over. And so on Wednesday, they had this appointment at 4:00 to meet with the inspector to go through the final walkthrough. So everybody had one box or one bag that they piled into their van, and they drove over. And when they got there, they were a little early, but as they waited, no inspector showed up. So the father called, to see, did we get the time wrong or something? And so here's what happened. And I remember when they were telling me this, I was like, no way, but yes way. So the inspector, evidently it was a very beautiful day that day. It was coming into spring. It was that first really gorgeous day where it was kind of warm and the sun was shining and everything. And so the inspector had an appointment at 1:00 that he took care of, and then he didn't have the next one till 4:00. So he just thought, you know what? This is such a beautiful day. I am not going to wait around till 4:00. I'll just get them tomorrow. But he didn't call the family to tell them. And he kind of forgot about that part. So he just went about his day and took his family down to the river and, to go do whatever it was they were going to do. And he forgot about this family. And so then he's kind of like, oh, wow, sorry. I meant to call you, but, and this was before the days of text messaging or emails there probably was email, But I believe we were in the time where maybe it was still pagers. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Anyhow, the inspection didn't happen. So here this family had sat in their van waiting for somebody to show up that they had an appointment with for the biggest moment of their lives up to that point, and it just didn't happen. And I remember the dad going, to say that we felt let down would be a huge understatement. Now, the next day, the guy came like at 1 or whatever. They did the walkthrough. He gave them the permit and they were able to move stuff in. But it wasn't the same. And they just, that letdown of all this waiting that they'd done and how they had gone, piece by piece so they could pay cash for it, and the sacrifices that they had made, huge things that they had sacrificed and given up so that they would have the money to build this house, their dream home. And so everybody would have all this stuff. I remember too, because it was a really cool house. Things I remember about it. One was they homeschooled all their kids, and they actually had a room built into the house for school. And they didn't put any closet doors on any of the closets because they figured the kids would just mess them up anyway. And there's just some funny things. But this house was exactly what they wanted, how they wanted, and it was paid for. So, and I said they met with the mortgage company. I don't even know if it would be a mortgage company. Anyway, whatever that they had to do the final signing on. Because now I'm thinking about that. But I remember they did pay cash because that was one of their big things. So anyway, however that thing worked, I don't know. And I didn't explain it in what I'd written down in this story. I just had told the thing about, that they had this big date that never happened. And what it made me think about is, I've had some pretty important appointments in my life, and I've gone and been there and waiting, and the person never showed up. I got stood up at least once that I remember for a date where the guy just decided to do something else and didn't show up. Even my first husband, before we were married, showed up one day and told me, I know we were going to go out tonight, but I got a better offer, so catch you later. That should have been a clue, shouldn't it? Maybe that wasn't a good idea to marry the guy, but whatever. So, fun fact. Anyway, this whole thing, I was thinking about, how I have felt disappointment before and let down, where my hopes have been really high and the anticipation really high, and then just to get cold water thrown on it. But spiritually, what it made me think about, and this is something this was a good time for me to find this, because I've had some conviction in me lately. I have this set time, when I get up in the morning, I pull myself together, I get dressed. If I'm not having to go anywhere, I grab a cup of coffee and I go into my office, shut the door, and I start my day, just me and Jesus. But sometimes, now that there's, been other people in the house, and sometimes, hey, Mom, can you do this for me? Hey, Mom, I need, and it has become really easy to get sidetracked. And next thing I know, I'm making lunch going, I haven't had my time with Jesus. And, and I've been falling under conviction of that that time with Jesus should be so important to me that I can't be distracted like that I'm making it a priority, and that I'm telling everybody, hey, I need to have my time with Jesus, and I'll catch you later. And then I read this, and it's like, I can see Jesus sitting in the office, got his cup of coffee, because Jesus drinks coffee, and he's sitting there going, she's been up for a couple of hours, as he sits and waits and waits and waits. Because see, I know that date I have with him every day, every morning to start my day, I know it's important to him. But is it as important to me as it should be if I can be so easily distracted? If I can get sidetracked and have it just slip my mind? That's not good. So that's something I've been really working on. And this morning when I woke up, before my feet even hit the floor, I was like, oh, because I got to sleep through the whole night last night. Only had to get up once. So that's pretty much through the whole night. And that was just, get up to go to the bathroom really quick. I don't think fully wake up. It was a pretty good night's sleep. And, and I was, thank you for that. I needed that. Thank you. And, and I knew I had a lot of things that, would be facing me today. And I just, before I even get out of bed, I'm giving it to you, Jesus. I'm just giving it to you. And what I want to do today is please you. I want to do what it is you want me to do. I want to be obedient to you. And I really, it was much better. And then, I got my coffee. I got a few things going. I had a couple of guys and, I need this, I need that. Could you do, or whatever. And hey, I just want to tell you this one thing, but I got into that office. And then, even though I made the date, I had all these other things on my mind and I started kind of rushing through. And it's like, oh, Lord, please forgive me. I need to slow down. I need to not think about any of those other things and just focus on you. So there it is. There's some of my shortcomings, some of my struggles of what I'm going through. But I wanted to share it with you, especially after I found this story. I wanted to share that with you because the sacrifice that Jesus made so that we can sit down and have that time with him, it was huge. Bigger than any sacrifice you or I will ever make. And the love that he loves us with is greater than any other love we'll ever know. And him desiring that time with us is stronger than any desire we'll ever have for anything else either. I owe everything to Jesus. So nothing should ever get in the way between my time with him. So there you go. I hope this encourages you, maybe challenges you a little. I mean, we've got to be honest with ourselves. I mean, we can sit and make excuses. Well, but God understands and, and I did need to take care of this and I did need to, and that was important too. And it was kind of serving Jesus by, helping this person. And I mean, we can make all kinds of excuses. But the fact is, he longs to spend a little time with you today, just the two of you. Can't we at least give him that? Okay, gotta go. Love you guys. Talk to you again soon.